The Component REST AppBlock allows you to connect to data through your REST services using the get, put, post, and delete methods. Each page of a Component REST AppBlock will be associated with a REST service URL and the JSON that is returned for a get or used for a put post REST call. We've designed a step-by-step wizard that will walk you through the creation of each page, which includes REST URL entry, data mapping, feature setup, and more. After completion of the wizard, you will use the app canvas to design the layout of each page, and then you will connect the pages together to form your use case. Variables may be passed from one page to the next as long as each page contains a common variable or variables. The MobileSmith platform only supports REST services that return JSON. We do not support data returned in XML. Additionally, we do not support SOAP-based services either. To create a REST app block is very simple. You're going to click on Add New App Block, and then you're going to create your item name, and I'm going to call this REST Physicians. Click on the REST app block, and then click Apply. Once your app block has been created, you are going to come to the first REST page that you want to create. Again, you are going to create these pages individually, and you can create them in any order that you like, as long as you're able to connect them. You will note that if you go to your menu and you go to REST Physicians and go to Configuration, there's really nothing for you to do here other than assign an item name for your navigation menu over here on the side. But under Phone Canvases, you can create your pages. So for the first page, you'll have the ability to add the page here, or you can add it from your bar down here below. I'm going to hide this, and we're going to add a page. As soon as you click Add a Page, the REST wizard will open. You will always have a help panel available to you over here on the right. On the left, as you build out your pages, you're going to get a little menu that you can navigate through as you go through each step. We have 4 page layouts. We have a list view, and the rules still apply, a detail view, an input view, and we do have a search and filter. Now, search and filter is a little bit different. It does have its own properties that are similar to some of the pages we already have available, but for this exercise, we are going to start with a list view. Now, before you can really begin building out this app block, you need your REST URLs. You can get these from your developers, and again, they can pull the data directly from your services into the platform. And by services, I mean your server going through a REST server. For this particular exercise, I already have a document available in your materials. We are going to use this particular sheet as we are building out the REST app blocks. You will also notice that this lesson is in more than one part, and each part builds into the next. Our first page type is going to be a list. So you want to click on the list view and then click on Continue. You have a page name, which is going to be the name that displays over here on the side, and you're also going to have a display name. Very important that you name these accordingly. So I'm going to label this as folders, and my display name here is going to be departments, because I am creating folders that are sorting our physicians by departments. Again, when you look below, it'll tell you what type of a layout you're using and the rules below. Click on Save and Continue. And this is where you're going to put in your REST service URL. So I have it here for you. You can just copy and paste it directly from the document. And then click on Check for Variables. If there are no variables, you can scroll down. If you have custom headers, you will include those here. You'll know if you have custom headers or not because your developer should include them with your REST calls. You must click Send to pull the data in. If it is successful and you know you've succeeded, you will see the data next to it. This is in a JSON format. So here's the name of my department. The ID is actually an identifier or a variable for the next page that we're going to create to connect to this. We're not going to use it on the canvases, but we do need it later on. Click Save and Continue. Here we're going to see our JSON tree. If there's anything missing or not correct, you'll be able to see it here. Save and Continue, and then we're going to do our data mapping. By default, the field type is always set to Do Not Use, but we want our name here to be a long text field, and then hit Save and Continue. Again, this is a list view, so all of the rules still apply. Available features. If there's a feature available on that particular page layout, you will see it here. Here I have the option to use pagination for a list view, but we don't need it because we only have a couple of items. Hit Save and Continue. Review your steps and then click on Finish. Your first page has been created and now you can design it. All I want to do here is drag over my name and design accordingly. So I want to leave my background color as it is, but I want to change my text color to white. I'm going to bold it, center it, and make it a little larger. Make sure nothing is cutting off on the screen. If anything is cutting off, then you can just adjust your text box and move it around until you get everything centered. Again, this is a list view, so all the rules still apply. Now that I've created my folders view, I want to create my list of doctors. So I want to pull up my little menu below and add a new page. I'm going to click on the list menu again and click Continue. My page name here is going to be List Physicians. And my display name that's actually going to show up in the navigation bar is going to be Our Physicians. Click Save and Continue. And now I want to pull my document up again and go to my next REST call. My REST endpoint is here for the list view. I've made it easy for you to identify. And I'm just going to copy and paste it directly. And then I want to check for variables. I do have a variable here, and you will typically be able to see it inside of curly braces within your REST call. I need my department ID, which is the same ID number that we had on our folders view. I have already put a department ID on here for you, but if you need to find yours, you can typically just take your REST call and put it in the browser, and you'll be able to identify it there. If not, you can always ask your developers to give it to you as well. I'm going to paste my variable here. Do not click on check on variables again. It will make this disappear. Again, if you have custom headers, you will enter them here. We do not. Click on send to pull in the data, and you will see your data come through. This is a good point to actually review what is coming through. Again, you can always put your REST call into a browser and be able to view it from there. But this is going to give me a good idea of the information that's being pulled in from the server. And I can identify things such as HTML, so I know how to data map these fields correctly. Hit Save and Continue. Again, we have our parent node, so we'll be able to see the data that's being pulled in. If anything is missing, you'll be able to identify it in this step. Save and Continue again. And then we're going to do our data mapping. Because this is a list view, I only need a couple of items on this particular screen. So I'm only going to identify what I want you to use to design my list view. I want, for this one, my doctor icon photo. So I already have an image in here that's been designed for the physicians. And this is going to be an image. I want my physician name, which is going to be a short text field. And if I scroll down further, I can get my physician's title, which again is going to be a short text field. If you want to include the departments, you can, but because I'm sorting these by department into folders, I'm not going to use it on the canvas. Save and continue. If you want to use available features here, you can. If they're available, I'm going to click no thanks because, again, I only have a limited amount of physicians for my REST calls coming in. If you have a lot more physicians, you might want to enable pagination, which is just going to limit the number of physicians coming through at any time. Hit save and continue. Go through your review and make sure all your steps are complete, and click finish. If you feel that you've missed a step, you can always go back on this page. Up in the top right hand corner, there's an edit pencil that will open the wizard back up, and then you can go back to the step over here in this menu to review and ensure that you've completed everything. If you see that everything is complete, you can always come down here, and if you didn't make any changes, there's a little arrow. Click on the arrow and you can hit save and quit. Or you can just hit quit if you didn't make any changes. Again, this is a list menu, so I am going to make a few changes here. I'm going to change my background colors on here to white, only because I know that my image already has physicians with divider lines built in. And then I'm going to drag over from my toolbox an image of my doctor icon photo, and this one's actually made to fit, so all I have to do is just drag and drop it completely to fill the space. And then under text, I can drop my physician name, and you can design it accordingly, and my physician's title. If you would like to design that further, you are welcome to. As far as actions go on this particular page, I am not going to give my users the ability to add a physician, and part of the reason why is because if you add an item, edit or delete one from the app, it's going to change the data on your server. So if you have this on a public-facing app, you're not going to want to create REST calls where they can add a doctor or edit a doctor or delete one. That could be devastating. You can add the option to refresh the list if you would like. They can just refresh it. Or if you want to leave that off, you can right-click, delete, and they can use their pull-down on their device to refresh the list like that. So now that I have my list of physicians and my folders, you may notice up in the properties, I have the option to use navigation. This is what allows me to connect my pages. I want to connect my folders view for the departments to my physicians view. So what you want to do is be on the first page that you want the user to start at, which in this case is departments. Then I'm going to go to AppBlock and point it to the REST Physicians AppBlock. If you have more than one REST AppBlock, it will appear here. So do be advised, you can kind of cross over into other REST AppBlocks if you're not careful. Next, you want to select a page. Because I only have two pages, which are the folders and the list of physicians, if I click on folders, I'm not going to do anything but go around in circles. I want this page to go to my list of physicians. Next, I have to be able to connect these with a variable. So I'm going to choose my ID here for the department IDs, and now my pages are connected. So very simply, now that I have this complete, I can go to whichever page I am using to put my physicians on, which in this case, I'm going to go to the home canvas and just give you a quick idea of what it looks like when you point your REST AppBlock to a button. So I'm going to go to my toolbox, buttons, and I can drag and drop a button from here, or let's say you have decided to replace an app block. So here I had a physician's app block. I can just change it to my REST app block, which says REST Physicians. And when I do that, you'll see page shows up here at the bottom. You want to choose the page that you want your app user to go to automatically. So I'm going to choose folders so that when the app user taps on our doctors, it's going to go to the folders view. And then when you choose a folder or a department, it's going to take you to the list of physicians. So I'm going to close it at this point in the lesson. But join me for the next one so you can see how to create your detail view.